MGTOW is not hate. I need to say this again. MGTOW is not hate. Now, when explaining MGTOW to others, and I've had this problem, and I believe I have to make this video because of it, I will start out by saying MGTOW is not hate. It is not about hate. It's not about misogyny. It is not about anything other than saving men's lives and leading men to a path of happiness. I hope this is clear. Now, why am I telling you this? Why am I saying this? Well, to let y'all in on a little personal information, I kind of have a bulleted list here, but it's more of a story. A few days ago, I was surrounded by people who were telling me about this idea of love. These liberal hippies, and were professing love, and of course women were just out there. One was advocating, you can find someone else to love. Another one was advocating a sort of a philosophy of love everyone a little bit, and yet another African American girl was advocating sort of a middle path. And then oddly, a wise girl said, a biology student said, love is just a set of chemical compounds. It's like a drug. And I wanted to say out loud, there you go, there's the smartest girl in the room. But yeah, then I had this lecturer talking about reason and logic, and how reason can only get you most of the way there, but that there will always be uncertainty, and that you have to, citing Schopenhauer and some other guy, a faith. You have to take a leap of faith. Now in my head I was thinking, I could tear into this guy and say, look, are you teaching college students, or you teaching people who pay you to educate them in an institution of higher learning, that when you don't have all the information, or when you don't know, what you should do, just take a leap of faith, believe in God? Right, hold on. Just, hey, do you not know how deep the pool is? Just dive in. What, I could kill myself. You can't know everything all the time. Just dive in, man. Right, and then they were talking about trust and other, and it's what we call philosophers. Eventually, I get it. Eventually contradicted himself. You have to learn to trust people. It's like, well, don't be gullible. Okay, well, the only safe way to live life is not to trust anyone ever. And yeah, over time, depending on the scenario, even one's own parents will lie to them. I mean, we could go to something as soft as Santa Claus, right? Oh, it's fun to see him run around thinking, there's guys in the world who just give away free crap. Lie to him. Let's fool him a little while longer. And then another thought came to mind when I was sitting there listening to this traditional liberal scree about love, and all you need is love. This, get over your betrayal. Like, all you ever needed to know about the solipsistic, narcissistic, sociopathic nature of the modern day third wave feminist woman is she will murder her own children just so she can get what she wants out of life. She will throw her own children under a bus, rip them out of her own womb, just so she can go on doing whatever it is the hell she wants to do without, having a kid around. Alright. Now, I know that sounded kind of misogynistic, right? But I'm talking about MGTOW here. And the reason why MGTOW talks about women a lot is because we are trying to understand what is going on. Now, there's this video by Sal Polani. I'm a few months late on getting on this bus. I saw it when it first came out, and plotting and scheming around tearing into this woman. Psychoanalysis of Sal Polani. Psychoanalyzes Sal Polani. It'll be good times. I'm not exactly sure how to go about it, but okay. And personal data. I know I do this to you guys every time. Most of the people I know I'm opting out, right? I may dabble here and there, to get my fix every once in a while. But in general, hey, I'm opting out. Right? So most people know I'm opting out. They know I'm going moo. And they think it's because, I'm just not over this hurt. Like, I can just find someone else to love, and that'll just make me happy. Like, that'll just be the greatest thing in the world. And then I guess they figured out that I'm MGTOW. I guess they figured this out. And I guess MGTOW has a label as a hate group. I will say this is probably because of Barbarossa and his sort of oratory presence, his method about going about it. He sounds very angry most of the time. The stereotypical angry black man. And aside, Star Trek, the swashbuckling Captain Kirk, the sort of diplomatic, intellectual, ethical Captain Picard, right? The sort of self-martyring female Captain Janeway, whose solution to every problem was, kill herself, nail myself to a cross. And then Deep Space Nine had the angry black man. Yes, we won't judge Barbarossa and stereotype him and pigeon him. I just think it's kind of funny. Yeah, and then Stardust comes across as more of a intellectual lecturer. The information and the data he gives you, the interpretations of it, can come across as extremely intellectually harsh, right? And if you're not ready for it, like, he can really drive a man down, which is probably why Barbarossa is trying to get you angry, to give you some fight. Don't let these women, drive you to the grave, right? Stardust tells you, hey, look, man, this is just how it is. And if you can make it through Stardust, at least his original older videos, and then definitely if you can make it through Men Are People's treatment, you're MGTOW. You're doing pretty good. Alright, I'm doing this to y'all again. So at about 9 minutes, I'm going to try to explain MGTOW. Sal Polani, the reason why men going their way talk about women a lot, because we're trying to go our own way. And to go your own way, you have to know where you're going from. Right? You can't just say, hey, I'm in the dark, I'm in the abyss, I have no orientation. I don't know where I am on the X, Y, or Z axis. Right? You can't just be lost in the darkness, lost in the abyss, and then just go forward. Yeah, what does that mean? Where am I going? Would you just be going further into the abyss? Would you just be going further into the darkness, further in defeating, gynocentrism, female solipsism, right? Where are you going? Are you going towards the PUAs? Right? That might blow up in your face, man. Like, you wind up worse off than you were before, right? Like, what if you can't lose a lot of weight? What if you aren't handsome? What if you aren't clever, witty, charming? What if you don't have the ability to wear nice clothes or get them all tailored? What if you would rather spend your lifetime and money doing something else than becoming this image of what women want, just to sort of like be a dick about it, right? And then would you go further into liberalism and sort of like castrate yourself and be sort of like one of these, God, I forget who that guy is. There's, man, just go to the PUAs and look up like man boobs or something. Like, there are men out there who are like, hey, maybe I'm not effeminate, maybe I'm not on board this feminist bus enough. Maybe if I really white knight it up, maybe if I, like, cross dress or dye my hair, or whatever. There's this guy in a dress on some of these PUA sites that they make fun of. He writes books and stuff. He makes money off of it. He makes money feeding into this feminist thing. What if you don't want to be that guy, right? And then you have the MRAs who go, well, wait a second. My life was ruined unfairly. It's like, hey, I'm the victim here. Like, legitimately, all the facts will say I'm the victim here. Like, this woman, like, totally for no reason, like, financially raped me. Like, what the hell was up with that? In some cases, she totally lied about me. She's holding my children hostage. I mean, how can this happen? We need to do something about this, right? And then MGTOWs realize that is all centered around women. Women are somehow still always in there, right? PUAs want to become what women want. MRAs want the society to treat men equally relative to women. Right? They're actually the counter to feminists, right? Or at least feminist stated position, which is social, political, and economic equality. Well, that's what MRAs are arguing. Hey, political, actually legal equality is what they would really love. And then you get, sort of white knight feminists. It's like, hey, maybe I was a jock douchebag. Maybe, maybe I cheated on her. Maybe I treated her like an object. Maybe I told her to make me a sandwich a few too many. These men are like trying to say, like, take ownership of what they did, of their side of the street, so to speak. Right? And all of that, it's still related around women. And MGTOW is about giving men an orientation away from women. That's what they mean by going our own way, Ms. Polani. We're going our own way. But to go your own way, you have to know where you're coming from. Know where you are. You have to know where you've been. To know where you're going, you have to know where you are relative to where you've been. Right? And then the reason why, and I love how self-centered and gynocentric Ms. Polani's criticisms of MGTOW are. Because she just cites all the conversations and lectures and videos that MGTOWs post about women, totally ignoring the most important part of MGTOW. The vast majority of workplace deaths, of suicidal deaths, are men. And that is why MGTOW exists, ma'am. MGTOW is saving human life. And I understand feminists who fight for the right to terminate their own children's lives. I understand an organization. I understand a culture. I understand an ideology that advocates for the institutionalized extermination of people's own progeny. Might not understand the value and importance of saving human lives. I understand that, Ms. Polani. I understand that you might have difficulty grasping that. Okay? I understand people of your ideological leaning don't really appreciate the value of human life. And no matter what a person wants to do with their life, they all have something to contribute. Right? And feminists say, fine, we check out, we don't want you anyway. Well, yeah, you don't want us now. But in 30, 40, 50 years, you'll want us. And Ms. Blondie, I highly suspect, deep down inside, you want a man in your home too. And when I get to my psychoanalysis of you, I will try very hard to be kind. But to explain to others, to explain to those women in the room who were just talking on and on about love, as if, pardon me, love isn't just another drug. Love isn't just another fix, right? And yeah, no, there are aspects of MGTOW, members of MGTOW who don't care, who say, hey, women don't want me, I've learned to accept that, screw them, right? Learn to love and accept themselves, right? And then there's other aspects of MGTOW. Guys are like, hey, look, man, go out and get laid if you want, right? The only qualifying factor for being a MGTOW is not being married. If you are married and you want to get involved in men's groups or in the men's movement, well, if you want to keep your wife happy, quote unquote, go to a PUA site, right? If you want to make yourself useful and beneficial while married to other men in society, go to an MRA site, right? MGTOW is not for you. If you're married, you are feeding into the system. Period. You are supporting the castle. And I understand there's plenty of guys out there who just want to go off into the wilderness and, you know, go completely off the grid, right? Hey, that's another aspect too. But to explain to women in the room, to the lecturer, to Ms. Polanyi and all other feminists, MGTOW is not about hate. It's about learning to love oneself and to love doing whatever it is you're doing by yourself. And screw what other people think. And I hope that is clear. It's not about hate. It's ironically about love. And ultimately, almost every MGTOW I've known has had their heart broken to such an extent that yes, we are trying to save human lives here. And I hope you can appreciate this, Ms. Polanyi. And to all the feminists out there who want to hate on us, that's fine. In time, you will miss us. In time, you will ask, where have all the good men gone? You will ask, where's a real man? And you will switch him and haw, this, that, and the other thing, and define real man differently from time to time. When you're young, a real man's a PUA douchebag. When you're young, a real man's a sort of jock, you know, beat you up on the street kind of douchebag. But when you're older, a real man is someone who's willing to love you and pay for your shit, your kids, and split the bills. Ideally pay all the bills, let you sit on your ass and do nothing. You know, a good man. A good man. You want a good man. I have never met a woman that stayed very long with a good man. Good men get taken to court. Good men get their house stolen from them. Good men. Yes. The data and evidence will support the idea that women don't really know what they want. All they know is that they they want men to give it to them. That's what all the data will support. That women don't really know what they want. There's no itemized list, right? They don't want equality. They want equal outcome. That's not equality. Right? And then ultimately, women will cry and moan, "Where's a real man? Where's a good man? Why do you need one? Why do you need one, miss? Do you need a man? Is that why you're crying out for one? Please define what kind of man you really want." Yeah, the PUAs will say it's all a lie. Most women are creatures that just feel, and since their feelings are ruled by the neurological and physiological chemicals, the neurotransmitters and everything, as Lee Lemon has said, as Stardust has said, as others have been saying recently, especially the smart biology student at that meeting. Oddly woman, number 4, young lady, number 4. A woman's feeling of love, or feelings of anything, change from week to week. It's a classic canard. Is it your time in the month? So when women want men to make them feel a certain way, that's women ultimately saying they need a man. Period. It's ironic. And I won't get into the dualistic nature of humanity, the duality. Yes, we are a pair-bonded species. We've evolved this way. But MGTOW is not about hating on women. MGTOW is not about opposing feminism. MGTOW is about saving human lives and letting men know where they were so they can go their own way. Simply exposing them to the matrix. Simply exposing them to it. That's all it's about. Once a man knows that he's in it, once a man knows that the matrix is programmed to exploit him, well then he can do whatever he wants to do with that. He can go off the grid completely and say, screw the matrix. Right? If he wants, he can go and, bang different women every night. If he wants. But primarily it's about telling men just to love themselves and love life. This beautiful thing called life that is not qualified by having some woman in it. No, what? We are trying to get men to realize that they have been told their whole life, shack up and breed, to make more workers for the matrix. That you're not a normal man if you don't have a woman in your life. That there's something wrong with you if you don't have a woman in your life. Yeah. I personally have not changed very much at all from who I was over 5 years ago. But about 3-4 years ago, my long-term live-in girlfriend left. And after that, all of a sudden I was on everyone's radar. When I had a woman in my life, no one gave a shit about me. No one gave a crap. I could say, do all the things I say do now, and no one cared. No one cared at all. I fit in. I blended in. I was your stereotypical white male Protestant. I held down a crappy job, uh, you know, this, that, and the other, house, like, pets, right? Car, truck, cable, pay my bills, like, use the interwebs, said and did and believed all the things I do now, and no one cared. I wasn't a blip on anyone's radar. And then when she left, when she nuked it, right? All of a sudden I became a huge blip on everyone's radar. And this both has its good and bad things. I've inspired so many others. I have reminded so many others. And yeah, I didn't realize you people with kids who were shacked up with women, you were just watching reality television, not reading, researching, discussing with your wives or partners anything of import. I didn't realize you people were like literally like just eating, sleeping, fucking, and shitting, like rinse, repeat. Like, I didn't realize that's what y'all were doing. Like, I thought you were doing what we were doing, like, trying to learn, trying to explore this life. And she was getting close to that wall, and she, found a better ship to jump to. In a typical female fashion, out of spite, she nuked my life. And I will say that society doesn't accept a man who doesn't have a woman in his life. There's something wrong with them. The bachelor not looking, must be gay, must be secretly gay. He's obviously not gay, no woman in his life, must be something wrong with him. Right, must be crazy, or there's got to be something wrong with him. That's why we talk about women all the time, Ms. Polani, because we're trying to remind men that society qualifies a man's existence by whether or not he has a woman in it. And that's bullshit. It's BS. It's a trap. It's a trap. And all the data will support it. It's a trap. Period. And to finish up this video, because I do this to you all the time, especially on my rant videos, it is about saving human lives. I understand an ideology, a feminist ideology that demands the government not only give a woman the right to murder her own children, right? I understand an ideology that legislates and politically activates a system in which other people, other men, are forced to pay for a woman's right to terminate her own children. I understand an ideology that is so solipsistic, so narcissistic, so selfish and self-centered that you would be willing to murder your own children just so you could, I don't know, go out clubbing, right? I understand that that kind of ideology would have a very difficult time wrapping its mind around the idea of another ideology that simply wants to save the lives of its own kind. As these MGTOW men, we're not genetically related, and yet we still care about each other's lives. Most feminists, just to go on with their own lives, would murder their own children. We might be completely diametrically opposed. We might be completely at odds, Ms. Polani. And we will no longer let your shaming language about your BS society affect us. Yours truly, M.